So, hi everybody and welcome back. This is our Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 59 and in this video we are creating a character HUD. A HUD, what it means, heads up display, and it's just like a user interface which we already created. Let me open this one up fast. I go into UI, to menu, and I open up. You see, a HUD will be similar to a user interface. It's just a widget, but it is made for the character in our case. So this one is made for menus, for our main menu, or we can go on to options menu later and so on. But this time we are creating one for our character, and this character HUD will have or let's call it character widget in this case, because UA uses all time the terms of widgets, and this widget will have the life, the skills which you are using, and information for the character. And let's get started. First of all, I create here in my UI folder a new folder which I call character HUD. Character HUD. Actually, important, you can make it even more special to say it player character. Perhaps there are other characters or like enemy character or something on, but okay, we call it now player character. Call it what you like. And then here we same like the menu widget we created, it's similar to that. We create again a widget, so we right click here in the middle, we go down to user interfaces, and we select again our widget blueprint, and we select again the user widget as our widget which we are going to use. Of course, you can see here we have already created this VB widget blueprint main menu, something like that. If you have this one and you want to use this as a template means just reuse this one and then change it, depends on that. You can make this later on if you have many things created and they are reusable, but in our case we start from scratch. That's why I use this user widget, or you can just use here the common used, which means most time you will use this one anyway. Then you can select this one. With that, we call this player, let's see, widget blueprint. This is the convention, and then I call it player character. So for the player character, and then we open this one up, and this main menu we don't need now. This one I dock here on top so I can switch later very easy. And we are back in our HUD again, and you can see we have here this settings to set this one to your screen. The default one which you should definitely use most time is probably this 1920 and 80. This setting is, yes, let's say it's a very default setting in many videos, in webs and in general, but of course you can set this later higher and lower, depends on your option setting later. But in our case we set this one. Then we go here on the left side. The first what we need is old timer panel. We show what we have here, and we don't see a panel. That's very strange. Sometimes they don't need a panel, but in our case we work with a panel because it's easier. So let's find a panel, and what we go here to the panel, and we need this canvas panel here. I dock it here, drag and drop it here, or you can drag and drop it here, and now we have this lines here which indicates this is our canvas panel. And now you can see we have here the resolution from 1920 and 1080. That's perfect. And we continue. Now this one what we have here is empty, and our goal is now that the character, when it starts, it should show some information. We start very simple. It showed just one life bar, and that's it, because we want just start very simple. And of course you can go here add later here many things. So how we add now this life bar? So we have options here, we have here different kind of things, and one way is, for example, to use this progress bar. Actually that makes no sense. Why the hell I would use a progress bar? The reason for that is the progress bar, I drag and drop it here, has the thing that this you can here indicate a color and it is visible here, and that's very nice to indicate, for example, live. It's very simple, it's very straightforward. And here on the left side in the hierarchy, let's rename this progress bar perhaps and call it I don't know, progress bar, p beep as a shortcut, progress bar, and live bar. I call it live bar because this is the live bar for my player character. And with that said, we go to the details panel, and here we change a little bit things. So fill color opacity. The color for live is most time red. We know this. So you can find here red anyhow. Or red is this RGB colors. It's very common. There are, if you want, for example, red or green or blue, you use this technique, 1 for red and other are 0. And the same goes for green. If you want green, green is 1 and other are 0s, or blue is 1 and other are 0s if you want to use one of these base colors. And all other colors you can define here in Hexa and or try to find it or copy it from the web and then put in here. So there are many ways to get these colors, but in this case I just select now this red, and we want to test this, right? We can't see it right now, and we learned already how we can spawn this, and let's spawn this on our character. Let's see how this works. And how was this, how we did this? The point was, with the main menu widget, we had to find a good place who is spawning this widget. So in game menu, this one was our game mode, because this is really a good place that the game mode should spawn the game menu, and then we can do. But of course, this is not the only place. There you can choose later what you think it's better. Perhaps there are better places and so on. And the same goes for our character. Now we have to find a very good spot. And intuitively, also, so in general, what I mean with that is, everybody would say the player character makes sense. Here is the player character, and we spawn this from the player character. And actually, I think that is not a good place. And the reason for that is, later, if the player character gets destroyed, and probably he would get killed all time, the character will get a message, you are destroyed, and when you spawn it, this widget within the player character, this player character widget is also destroyed. And sometimes you don't want that the widget is destroyed. The character can be destroyed, spawned again, and you want still use the widget. So that is not the best place actually. And then we have to find now another way. And this other way is actually the player controller. Why that? Because if the character gets destroyed, the player controller gets not destroyed. The player controller waits till it gets a new character assigned. So which means this one we can use to our advantage, which means we have to create also a player character. Right now we see here a player character controller. And we have to create a player character controller. Sorry for that. I mean old-time controller. And we have to create this controller now, because this one is the default one, but we want our own one. So what we do is we go to our game folder. We make a new folder and we call this just player controller. Player controller. And of course I set fast the color because it's one of the base elements again. And in this player controller I open up, I go to the blueprints here on top, and now you can see here player controller, or you search it. I click here just player controller, and I call this PC. PC stands for player controller convention underscore, and then my, or you can say my player character, or I just say player character. So player character, that's enough for me for right now. And we can open this up, and interesting is, in this player controller right now we will do the spawning, and we we in the viewport, we need nothing actually here. Strange that there is a camera. The player controller got by default a camera. Interesting. But we need nothing there. We need only something here. Event tick we don't need. And event begin play, yes. There we can set it up. Later we can change here some options. But right now let's make it if the player controller gets activated, and that means event begin play in our case, it should spawn this widget. And how to spawn a widget we already learned. We drag this out and get the node spawn widget. Oops. What was it called? Spawn widget. Yes, I have forgotten it. What the node name is. Okay, let's write widget. Spawn. No. Create widget. Was this one? Create. Yeah, create widget. Okay, sorry. It was called create widget, not spawn widget. Yeah. You see, I even don't know all the nodes, even if it's so easy. Whatever. And after you create this widget, you select the widget which you want to create first. So let's go here to our VB player character. This was the widget we have made here. I assigned this one. And the next thing is I have, this one is just creating the widget, but not putting it on the screen. So to put it on the screen, we have, say, add to viewport. I have forgot it. Add to viewport. Okay, it was add to viewport. And with that said, now this widget is added to the viewport, and there is another option, add to screen. Don't use that one, but read the option what it does. In our case, we add it just to the viewport, which means it will add it in front of our screen. But let's see if this is working. We talk much, and let's see it. I see nothing, right? So the reason for that is, of course, I have to change here the world settings, the player controller, because I created it now. I have not assigned it. So let's go here to the PC player character in my case, and then we save this all again. And now let's start it again, and we see this progress bar on the left side, but the color red, where is that? I set something like a red color to indicate that this is my life, right? Right now I see nothing. Let's jump into our widget here. The player controller is almost finished. We don't need this anymore. And now I said, wait a minute, I have here a progress bar, but it is not red. I set the correct color and it is not. And the reason for that is we have to go to the progress here option, and here we have option which we can set how the color is filled and how to start and so on. So let's watch it. First of all, left to right. All right, it should go from left to right. That's okay. But here percentage is right now 0, which means I can change this to, I think, to 100. Right, and 100 means now I'm full. Let's test this 80. Let's see if this is right. No, this is not right, sorry. This has another system here, not with 100. Let's see how they work here. Okay, they make it from 0 to 1, not 1 to 100. 0 to 1. Okay, we just write inside 101. And now this is full, which means after we get later damage, we have to decrease later this value, right? So this percentage will be interesting for us, but right now for test purposes, we start with 1. We compile this, we set this, and we have our setup already. We have now a live bar, which is which has no bindings, which has no coding. And of course, here you should start your creativity and make here a nice visual yes, widget. You know, if you are better than me in art style and so on, you can make here fantastic looking things, but I'm not so good, or I have to spend a lot of time, then I'm good too. But right now I'm concentrating on creating this series, so let's continue a little bit. So what I want to do next is not in this video, is we have to bind functionality to this life. What I mean with that is, now when I start this one, you see I have life, but if I get damage, for example, let's activate our AI, he's attacking, and when I'm too close he will damage me, that my life bar should go down, depends on the damage value and my life value. And this one we have to set up in code, and how we are going to set up, it's very easy. Like all widgets, has here a coding section, or what we are going to do is we are not using this coding section only to set up one thing, and we will have to program this coding section, what is here, actually in the game mode. And why that's so, I will tell you in the next video when we start the coding. So if you have any questions, like all time, you can ask in the comments and I will try to answer them. If not, bye for now and see you in the next